folks. Welcome back to Indaba Africa. This is Chris once again. Good morning, folks. Sunday, October 24th, 2021. Just a week away from the 2021 municipal elections in South Africa, and we're almost there, shockingly. I've been talking about these elections since June of last year, almost on a daily basis, trying to get people jazzed up and registered and ready to play their role, do their civic duty in South Africa. And I've been giving continuing election coverage now since, since August here, of events going on with analytical videos and interviews. And once again today, Sunday the 24th October, we have another interview. And this is a candidate for ward councillor, and none other than Albert Oberholzer. Welcome to you, Albert. How are you doing?
I'm good, and you guys doing well?
I'm quite well. Thank you very much. So you are running as a candidate under the UIM banner, correct?
Yeah, that is correct, Chase.
All right. Obviously, you haven't been a lifelong member of the UIM because it hasn't been around for your entire life. But how long have you been with the UIM?
I've been here since the beginning. Basically, I started in about, I think, October last year, October, November, around there. I just searched on the internet, and then Neil de Beer popped up. And then I started watching him and listened to his ideology, and I was hooked from the word go.
Now, were you involved or politically active in politics before this, or is this your first venture into the political arena?
This is my first venture into this political arena. I'm just a community member. I've been doing things in and around, and I know the heartbeat of my people around me, and I really think I'm connected with them. And then I just decided, you know what, Neil asked, is there anybody that just want to raise their hand? And I said, by all means, 100%, you got me.
Now, you originally are from KZN, correct?
That's correct. I was born and bred there.
Oh, down in Newcastle, if I'm not mistaken, where you went to school at.
Yeah.
And you served in the Army. I'm guessing that you don't look like you're about 22, so I'm guessing that might have been the old South African Defence Force?
That's correct. It's national service.
Okay. And then later you served in the police service as well?
That's correct.
So you have some experience in law enforcement, some background in national defense and security that from your earlier days.
Yeah, yes, I do. I'm actually part of the Provincial Executive Committee as well as a Deputy Director for Safety and Security, which is an honor. So it's going to be a very exciting time coming ahead of us.
Well, how's this going so far? I mean, the UIM is a party that didn't even exist just a few months ago. Neil scrambled to get the party registered successfully. He needed a vice president of the party, and I think made a very astute choice in Fatima Abdul, bringing her into the fold. I think it was a brilliant move on his part. Whether you like UIM or dislike UIM, if you don't like Fatima Abdul, there's something wrong with you, is my view.
That's correct. That's correct. That's true. Yeah, I think when we started off, and I mean, there was a big dispute, or I wouldn't say dispute. It was just we didn't know if we should stay movement and become independent, and then or we're going to join a party. And what I like about Neil de Beer on the UIM, overall, they said that, you know, we have to decide. It's not him or his management or people around him. He said, you know what, everybody that supports the UIM, you have to make a decision. Are we going to start a party, yes or no? So, and it was unanimously decided that we're going to start the party, and it was very exciting stuff in the beginning. And as I said, you know what, yes, we are a young party, but we are growing exponentially every single day, and we've got a huge fan base on all my social media that I'm active with. The people actually start to ask, you know, who is the UIM? What are they all about? And you know, it's the UIM for myself. It's the heartbeat of South Africa. And I'm proud to be part of it. Well, especially on its infant stages. So yes.
Well, I was going to say, it sounds like you certainly are. You know, it is interesting. I think the biggest challenge for the UIM at the moment may be, as you said, who is the UIM? A lot of people haven't known about it, but it does seem to be getting a lot of attention in certain parts of the country. You know, you're running for ward councillor in Johannesburg, yes?
That's correct. Ward 84.
Ward 84, which covers what part of the town?
It's Roodepoort. It's one of the biggest parts. It's more, okay, the people that knows Roodepoort will know it's on the southern side of Ontdekkers, still about Main Reef Road, and all the way up into Roodepoort town itself, just before Davidsonville. So it's quite a huge area. I think there's about 33,000 people in my area alone. So it's going to be a daunting task that's ahead of the next week.
Well, who's done well in the past couple elections there? Has it been the ANC or the DA?
The DA was the last 5 years they were in charge, and currently I see that my only biggest, okay, everybody is, my opposition because we're a very small party, but I really believe that we can pull it off. And it's the Patriotic Alliance, the DA, and Action SA. If you look at the political stance, a lot of people are very upset about the ANC, so I don't think they will get as many votes as they did last time. The Freedom Front's also a very good party in our area. The rest is very like us, babies.
Well, in fact, that I think is a fair point. A lot of people are thinking that perhaps the party is going to get a lot of traction in some of these areas. And so are you feeling pretty good about your chances there as a ward councillor? And what are the reaction from people? And I'm talking across the board: black folks, white folks, color folks, Indian folks. Maybe not so many colors in your area, but are you getting feedback from people going, got something interesting to say, or maybe they've even said they might vote for you? What are you getting from? What's the word on the street, so to speak?
You get your people that always support the opposition until they die one day. But with us, I mean, my neighbor on my left-hand side is a colored guy. The guy on my right-hand side is a black guy. So I've got everybody here right around me. I've got white people. So for me, it's not about race. For me, it's about neighbors. And my neighbors are supporting me 100%. And the support I get from all different races and cultures is great. It's really, 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 and especially because I'm involved in the community. I know everybody, or most of the people. So we'll have to see how it goes. I mean, it's going to be fun. I really, really, this is a game. It's going to be a good game.
Well, let me ask you this question. I think it's an obvious question for folks, and that's, what exactly got you motivated to get into politics? Like I said, you're not 19 or 20. I mean, some people start very early in politics. Was there a precipitating factor, or was it just the arrival of Neil de Beer on the scene that motivated you, or are you hot full of something that's going on in South Africa? I don't know, like ANC rule or something like that?
I think about 8 years or so ago, my wife and myself, we started a non-profit organization, and we actually got a lot of sponsorship in for food and clothing and feeding schemes, and we even got ShopRite, which is one of our major shopping people in South Africa, and we fed people. And then already I saw, you know what, it's not right. People in South Africa is not doing well, because you got a hostel that's been broken down, and there are families staying in each room, and I mean 2 to 3 families. And the kids, my heart goes out to the kids. I've got a passion for children, and I have to think, what can I do to make the children, just to look after our children. And about a couple of years later, so I just said to my wife one day, it would be nice if we could get into politics. And it's about 5-6 years later, and here I am involved in politics, and I think that's where I can make a difference, to do something for my community. That's my motivation.
And that's why you've stuck your standard out there, and you've latched on to the UIM. Well,
exactly.
I don't usually ask my guests about their immediate family. I'm not going to ask you specifically, but you did share with me in your bio that you have 3 kids, and one of them has made you a grandfather. Are you happy about that, or was that premature?
It was premature. It's always premature.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You'll be 65, 70 going, hey, I'm not ready to be a grandparent yet.
But I have to say, I enjoy him every single second of every single day. He just started, he's 9.5, 10 months old now, and he's already starting to walk. So somewhere we are doing something right, and maybe it's in the genes that we just want to keep on walking and fighting the whole time.
No, that's awesome. Well, congratulations on being a granddad.
Thank you.
It doesn't necessarily mean you're old. I've met 38-year-old grandparents before, so it's that's a little frightening, but it happens all too often. But anyways, congratulations on that, and I appreciate your motivation. You're welcome. Your motivation for getting into it. So, what are the challenges? Are there any specific challenges in Rhodoport and the ward that you're running in? We talk about some places in South Africa. It's the sewage, it's no electricity, it's no water, it's crime. But what's happening where you're at that's really a concern?
Yeah, our concern. Okay, it's very immediate, and it's very close to my heart now, because we have got a park in front of me, and you get these undesirables. Not saying a color or a creed or anything. It's the addicts. We've got a lot of addicts in our area that, they have to sustain their habits. What do? They break into the houses. They smoke. They throw all their lean bottles around on the floor. They just make this place look ugly. And children from school bunking, for instance. I think we should do something just to get them in jail for the day, and phone the school and say, listen, these people are bunking from school. And that's close to my heart. Then we've got the normal stuff. Potholes is incredible. There's a lot of potholes. I mean, we've got even sinkholes in our community. Crime is always rife in the whole of South Africa. But the area where I'm staying, we started like a walkie-talkie group, and we have curbed the violent or the crime down to, I think we've got the number nearly 80%. And it's a community-based thing. So one person got a problem, just gone to the radio, and we are there within 2-3 minutes maximum. Some of us are there in 30 seconds. So because it's your neighbor, and the response of our community is incredible. Just the state of our roads, the state of our parks, it's hectic. And the service delivery, that's what it's about. I really think that we need to shape up our service delivery. What else can I say? I think our community is very separated because, of the different cultures in our, communities. That I would love to get to a place where I can actually make everybody join together. And for myself as Afrikaans guy, I can give my bully roll to an Indian guy, and he can give me some of his bunny hint. So something like that. I really want the community to get involved and say, this is our common goal. And this is all for our children. Because one day when we are in a retirement village, we're not going to be here in the area, maybe, or we will be somewhere else. And who's going to be left with it? Our children in the end. And they need to learn from us as adults that everybody is human, and we all deserve everything that this life has given us and can give us. And that's about it.
Well, you touch on something very interesting, which is clearly an issue, not just in South Africa, but in much of the world, the developed and undeveloped world. But it's not been something that's risen to the front in this campaign. It's really been about service delivery. Most people are talking about, most parties. But something you mentioned, which is a very serious issue, and of course it comes to mind here in the States because Donald Trump ran on this issue, and that's drug abuse, and that's people who are addicted to drugs, chiefly, and the consequences of those addictions, which lead to crime, prostitution, assaults, murders, home invasions, break-ins, that sort of thing. As addicts have no resources left, they've exhausted what they have to try to get their fix. Now, it's interesting you bring that up because I've not heard any candidate anywhere in South Africa highlight that. I'm sure someone's talked about it. There are 80, 90,000 candidates, so I haven't heard them all, but it's certainly not made the news that that's a serious concern. And it's curious to me that to hear that Rotoport, this is an issue, but I'm not surprised, but it does sound like it's a very serious issue. Are there community-based organizations that are trying to address this, or is the government trying to address it, or are they simply ignoring it? Any ideas about what's happening with that issue?
Well, it is a huge issue, and I mean, the government doesn't do anything especially on that thing. We've got a few drug rehab centers in the area, but they don't get funding. I mean, Kurt van Heerden, I love this guy to bits because he's also got a rehab thing going on in his ward, and he's very successful. And I've seen the people that come out there they become pillars of the area, of society overall, and they actually, they become helpful in helping drug addicts to get through the issues. And the problem here is it's easily available. South Africa's got a lot of weed running around in every single street corner, so it's not a problem for me just to walk over the park and to go and get weed. We've identified a couple of crime syndicates in our area where they actually deal the drugs from. The school kids, they are susceptible to these drugs because it's easily available, and then they get the lower drugs, the cost of the drugs, it's low, so that they get it and then they use it, and then they're just a nuisance. And so to keeping them out of school. So drugs is a big issue because the kids, when they bunk school, they come to the park, now they're chilled. What do? What else is they do? They're not going to do homework. So the only thing they do is they listen to music and have some weed or drink some lean. And it's not on. It's going to destroy our future.
No, absolutely. I could see your concern there. It's a real one. Well, interesting. Your experience when you're in the police isn't necessarily about that, but about two topics I want to ask you about specifically. So you worked in the riot unit, and you also ended up in crime intelligence. Two specialties and subject matters that would have come in handy, I don't know, say in July in Gauteng and in KZN. I don't know. Did you observe those events and scratch your head and go, how could somebody not know this is going to happen? It was easily predictable. Or did you scratch your head and go, wow, we're shocked to see this happen? I mean, having worked in crime intelligence and riots, both of those kind of meld very well with what I call the insurrection inside the ANC that took place in KZN and in Gauteng back in July. Your thoughts or comments on that?
I said that, okay, when I was in the right unit, what we did is, you know what, in those days it was 92, 93, 94, so there was a lot of marches. So I worked at the right unit and the reaction unit. So we were involved in all the riots to make sure that everything is going smoothly. And if there's any problem, that we will react as soon as possible to curb the violence or just to keep everything under control, which was very, very effective in those days. Because, you know, as a policeman, even in the right unit, I had my utmost respect for a lot of these parties. Actually, we're going to call it the black people, the natives of South Africa. I hate that word natives, actually, because everybody that was born here, I believe, is my brother, my sister, and you know what, it's a South African. But they had their cause, and I respected their cause, and as long as they upheld the law in doing the marches and stuff, I didn't have any problem with that. So then I went to crime intelligence, and it was a whole completely different thing, because now I did all different crimes, from child trafficking up to drugs, all the big syndicates and stuff. And we worked closely in hand with a lot of higher intelligence units, and they had the informants in all different crime syndicates as well as movements. So this thing that happened in June and July, it wasn't a shock. I mean, the police just doesn't do their job anymore, and that is also one of the reasons why I left, because they didn't utilize the members that was there already and that had the experience. And they chose to rather demote them or not even promote them, so they can have a bigger influence in the whole thing. So this nonsense about they didn't know about it, it's impossible, because people talk. People will tell you, okay, this and this. Because this was a well-orchestrated movement. So and if that happens, there must be leaders, and there must be people in different places that will know exactly what was going to happen and when it's going to happen. They had to have a target that they were going for, and that's what they did. So nobody can tell me that this wasn't expected or nobody knew about it. Well, maybe they knew that because they knew, you know, maybe to gain some votes or something like that.
Well, I'd have to say that on June 29th, I predicted almost exactly what happened in South Africa. I just didn't predict the exact location. I did say something was going to happen to KZN. I didn't know that Gauteng was going to go. And I did that without the benefit of snitches, informants, signals intelligence, people on the ground. So my point is, it didn't take rocket science. Now, to be fair, I am a 40-year intelligence analyst and professional, but still, it didn't take someone with that kind of background to go, hey, wait a second. If they put Jacob Zuma in jail, some people are going to be pissed off. Anyway, so now I've got a number of questions coming up in the chat here. Folks, let's frame this a little bit better. First off, Herman, the IT guy, asked me a question. Herman, could you please finish the question? Because that's a leading question, and I don't know where it's going to go. So tell me why you want to ask that question, Herman. JP Dreckmeyer wants to know some things, as do a couple other people. Arctic is another one. They're asking questions related to your party, and we can touch on that if you want to do that. But I don't think it's fair. Those are questions for Neil De Beer and Fatima Abdul, I think. Like, they're asking about the UIM stance on unemployment, mandatory medical experimentation. I think those are questions for the party leaders, not for a ward counselor. If you want to touch on it, you're welcome to do it, but I don't want to put you out there. Now, this is one that Arctic asked, I think is fair. How will the UIM fix all those potholes, assuming that that you do not get a majority in the council? That's a fair question, because I think that it's probably a pretty tall order to expect the UIM to win a majority in Johannesburg with its 400 council seats or something like that. But I suspect in Joburg, the party's hoping for a number of ward seats so that they can be a kingmaker in a potential coalition, because Joburg is a real mess for the Democratic Alliance, and it's a disaster for the ANC. The ANC is not going to give 50% in Joburg, and then the DA is split because Herman Mashaba is Action SA. So anyway, any thoughts on how you can fix potholes in Joburg?
Okay, so Neil has said that, you know what, his whole plan, remember, we're talking about the 2024 elections that we will be contesting, and we will be a major run in that time frame, but we will make a plan. But you see, the thing is, as a ward councillor, even a candidate, doesn't mean that, you know what, after the 1st of November, okay, we didn't win, okay, there's nothing we can do about it, so okay, that's it, can I go on with my life? It's not going to happen. And that is what I believe that the heart of the UIM is about, that we will still stay involved. I'm still going to go out and I'm still going to do patrols. I'm still going to hold my ward councillor accountable, because I want his number. Because if you can look on my Facebook profile, I've got a big poster there of all our candidates in my area, or not my area, of the UIM, and my phone number is there. So you have to phone me. So I will be held accountable. Now, I want to expect the same from the DA members. And Ramaphosa also said that all the people must give their cell phone numbers away so that they can get hold of those people. So now after the elections, let's say we didn't win, and we decide, okay, what's the way forward? As I said, we are looking for 2024. So us as ward council have got a bigger responsibility now to actually get to know to our ward council, our opponent that may or may not win. And we have to hold them accountable. And we have to bring every single thing, that every pothole to his attention. We must ask the questions. Did you take it up to the metro? Or what did they say? Or why did they say? Why isn't there any money? Why aren't you doing something? I mean, a person contacted me just canvassing. I started a group just for our ward. And she asked me already, what about this pothole, the sinkhole here? When are they going to get fixed? I said, listen, I cannot help you now. You have to vote for me to get me in. So after the 1st of November, I'm going to hold every single person that's involved and that the candidate in this area, that they will do something about it. And I will keep on doing it. And the best thing to do then is go to social media. Say, okay, this is the problem. This is what my opponent said, what the result is going to be. And I'm going to keep them accountable. And I'm going to update every single second day or third day or every single week. So that's going to show the people, you know what, the UIM is not here to play games. We are here to make an impact in our community first. And then we can do the metro, and then we're going to take the country for the people. Not just for a globalist cabal or just for the privileged few. No. This is a party for the people. And we are here for everybody. And everybody is inclusive.
Well, that's, I think, a pretty good answer to the question that was posed. Listen, there is an elephant in the room, literally, and people keep commenting it in the chat, so let's go ahead and address it now. Everybody wants to know, what's the graffiti on the wall behind you? What's that all about? Sorry, but it keeps coming up in chat, so we're going to have to address it now. And if you tune in late, you'll have to go back and rewind to see what was said.
Okay, my youngest son, he's a manga freak. So he actually draw those wanted posters there, and it's manga. It's got us on his door, and then it says obey, because I told them they have to obey me. Obviously we are Christians, so he's drawn a cross there. So on the door he's got all his manga pictures that he drew freehand. I'm very proud of him. He's very artistic, and that's it.
So
that's the stuff in the back.
Okay, so Albert, you're in your son's room to do the broadcast.
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay, clearly you're not a tenderpreneur who owns a rich Santon residence with multiple rooms and studios.
I'm actually, okay, to tell you the truth, I've got a 3-bedroom house with 5 people. So my wife, myself, I've got the main bedroom. My daughter and my grandson has got one, and each son has one room, but we don't have a lounge. We've only got a normal TV room where we've got a TV in, and that's about it, in the kitchen. So we eat in the TV room every single evening, and we've got a little bit of a stoopy, so we've got a table and chair that we utilize for food. So yeah, I'm not rich, I'm not wealthy. I'm just a normal guy doing what I think is best for my community and for my family. That's all we can do.
Well, it's interesting because obviously I haven't interviewed, because the UIM has, I think, 1,000 candidates. Actually very impressive given such a short period of time to get people registered, but for ward councillor and mayor. But of those 1,000, I obviously haven't interviewed the vast majority of them, but those I've interviewed do all seem to be men and women of the people. They're just average Joes and Janes that are out there. Or our average, Sias and Gertrudes, that are just out there, not people that have been involved in politics. And do you think that's a strength, or is it a disadvantage for the UIM to reach out to people who are just from the community and don't have experience in politics?
I think it's both. It's our strength and it's an advantage. Who knows better that goes on in your area than you that stays there? I actually went through the candidate list for the COJ, and it's scary. There are parties that's got over one person as a candidate for between 40 and 80 wards. Now, the question I have to ask is now, if you get 10 wards, if you get 5 wards, how are you going to manage that? Because you're on your ward. I mean, as I said, my ward has got 33,000 people in, and I have to see to my people. Now, if I get elected for another ward councillor, let's say in Diepsloot, which is like completely on the other side of Joburg, how am I going to get there in 10 minutes flat to see what's happening, to help my people? And that is ridiculous. And you should see the candidates. I mean, there's some, as I said, the one that's got physically, I think, 104 wards that is contesting. for one party.
I don't understand how that's even possible. I mean, I know you can register if you meet the threshold as a candidate in multiple places, but I can't imagine you'd be eligible to serve multiple positions. Like here in the States, well, not, and I don't think in South Africa you can serve in this place either. So they'd have to pick one of them or something like that, because Leonard Max, who is the Freedom Front Plus mayoral candidate for Cape Town, is currently in the provincial legislature. I discussed this with him, but I said, well, if you get elected mayor, I guess you're going to have to step down from the provincial legislature. He said, yes, because you can't hold both offices. You can only serve one. So, but yeah, I think your point here is that, I mean, this is my view, and you can comment if you like on this, or you can defer. But my view is that how do you take somebody seriously that wants to be a local city or ward councillor who puts his name on the ballot or her name on the ballot for 104 different locations? Clearly, they don't know those people. Clearly, they don't care. They just want naked power and a salary and blue light escorts or whatever it is councillors do or don't get.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. I mean, that's really not fair to the community that you're supposed to serve. And I would also like to know, where do they get the money from? Because every single candidate for every single ward, you have to pay to be eligible for that ward. And I mean, that's okay. Where's all your other people? If you've only got like 7 people, and they are distributed between 125, 126 to 130 wards, where's your other people? Where did you get the funds from? You know, all these questions get asked, and it needs to be answered. I can't understand it. So, I mean, it doesn't make sense. It really doesn't make sense. I mean, we scraped by to get where we are now. I mean, our budget, Neil spoke about it on Friday. He said our budget, and from we started with the UIM till now, is 600,000 Rand.
Wow.
Now we are competing against people that's got 15 million, 20 million, 100 million. Not 100 million, but a lot of millions. Mm-hmm. Now, I don't want to hit up on the IEC, but I'm just going to ask a question. How can you call something a free and fair election if you already have an advantage of getting a lot of sponsorship? So in other words, the DA and the ANC, they get millions. So they can go and they do their canvassing and they put their posters up and everything because money is no problem to them. But what about the independent person? He's got now 0.4% chance of actually gaining something. So why don't they just put all the money that everybody receives as a donorship and put it together and distribute it between all the candidates and all the parties together, and let's see then how is a fair and free election and want to be a little bit more competitive.
Well, I get your point there, but to be fair, when it comes to politics, here's the challenge, especially in a place like South Africa, where there's over 500 political parties, 325 contesting this election. So the thing with political parties is that if you do that, that's more, and this is the reality plus part of my personal view. It becomes more socialistic model, and then you're dividing the wealth up, and to me that's unfair. Now I think you're onto something here from my point of view, from the standpoint that, and it's not related to fundraising, but related to media coverage. Media coverage is very selective, and the state-run media focuses on promoting the ANC, and then the other media, they focus almost entirely on the DA and the ANC, when there are other parties that are making waves, particularly since these are local elections. If it was a national election, you might be able to go, okay, listen, 2 or 3 big parties, okay, we can see why the focus is there. That's where the issues are. But in a local election, someone like yourself could surprise everybody and take a ward, and suddenly your party has some influence in a city like Johannesburg. And we're going to see cities change hands. We're going to see metropolitan areas, or not metropolitan, but maybe metropolitan, but certainly municipalities change hands as elections. I looked last night at the 2016 results and did some analysis, and I already count over 20 municipalities in South Africa that are very likely to change hands from the ANC to somebody else. And so the fact that the media doesn't pay attention or even give air to other parties, I think is the unfair part here, because the media is supposed to be a neutral arbiter. But so far as the money, I think maybe we disagree a little bit, because I mean, the thing is that I could create my own party tomorrow and then demand my share of that pie. And now there's 326 parties if I get registered. And so that reduces resources. So, I get where you're coming from. But honestly, if you look at it, the amount of money that the DA and the ANC have is not much. I mean, we have people who spend more for a congressional race in this country by a factor of 10 than the entire amount of money spent on elections in South Africa. And most of that money, honestly, in South Africa is spent putting up posters, which most people pay no attention to.
Most probably. Yeah, and that's another thing, because I'm very excited to say that our posters will be only being put up to tomorrow, hopefully. And then, so it's going to pop, because all the other ones are already faded with the weather and the rain. So I'm very excited. And then my face all over my ward is going to be I'm an introvert, believe it or not. So yeah, it's going to be quite hectic for me. I mean, people will they'd say, "Oh, I know you. Aren't you this guy?" Yeah, yes. So I'm very excited. I really am. I can't wait.
So I think I don't know what your campaign plan is. We'll get that in a second here. But over the last week, I think that you're probably going to need to spend 12 to 16 hours a day outside your home, walking around shopping centers, walking around neighborhoods, going to any place where people might be gathering, just to be seeing what your posters up. People like, hey, I know that guy. That'll give you a big advantage here. But folks, you're listening to Chris Wyatt Africa on the Indaba Africa channel, part of the Indaba Broadcasting Network. It's Sunday, October 24th, 2021. We're 1 week away from South Africa's 2021 municipal elections. Speaking today with a ward councillor candidate for, I think, the 84th ward. Did I get that right?
That's correct. 184.
84th ward in Johannesburg, Albert Oberholzer. It's a very German name. Maybe we'll get to that later on and talk about that. But so he's shaking his head like, yeah, you got that right. But we're talking about his efforts. He's running the UIM banner, Neil de Beer's recently registered party in South Africa. Over 1,000 candidates for ward councillor around the country. Pretty impressive for a party that didn't exist 4 or 5 months ago. It was just an idea. But let me ask you this, Albert. So far as campaigning, what are you guys doing? I think that's a clever move on your part. Limited resources, constrained resources. So you wait until they'll be fresh in people's minds. Now you put your posters up a week to go, and people will see them just before the election. And we'll see, because, I mean, your party's not well known, so this is a chance to make a splash. What's the biggest and most effective thing that you've done so far as campaigning? Have you gone to town meetings? Have you had events, rallies, door-to-door knocking? You know, that's the thing I'm always terrified of. And it's an election candidate trying to knock on my door. But what's working for you, or what's not working, if you want to share that?
I think it's going to be a problem in the West Rand, because these people, you know, they say the West Rand is rough in the West Rand. And if you go knocking on the door, you'll get greeted with a shotgun or maybe 9 more against dead or something like that. So it's going to be, especially with the crime that's going on around here. So my whole strategy is, you know, I want to actually walk the beat. So I'm going to actually, this week, I'm going to walk my area, see where the problems is, take photos, and actually make mental notes. And when I see someone, I'll chat to them and I'll hand out flyers. I'm going to put up my posters now from, I think we could be starting tonight. A friend of mine, we're going to start putting posters up. What's nice is Neil de Beer is coming down to Joburg on the 28th of October. And he's going to have a little bit of a tour here in Nicklin. He's going to go to Metval, Roodepoort, and then he's going to go to Tshwane, and then he's going to make his way towards Mpumalanga to do Witbank and Middelburg as well. So we're going to have a meeting with him here, with anybody that's welcome to come and join. It's going to be in Maritzburg. It's just about 4 km from where I stay. And I think anybody that's listening, just reach out to me. If you really want to meet Neil de Beer, come over and ask him questions. I mean, we are here for you. We are not unapproachable. So just come and listen. And can meet the guy, and you'll see, and you'll meet most of the ward councillors, and it's going to be a great time just to fellowship with each other and just chat. So further on, I'm going to do my posters on very strategic points, closest to shopping centres, obviously, and schools, and maybe churches as well. That's my strategy, because the people will start looking, who's watching, and see, okay, who's this UIM character, because this face is not good for posters.
Well, I'll take your word for that. No comment on that one. But no, I'm picking your brain about campaign strategies, because I don't know if you know. You might have known that I've tossed my hat in the ring. I'm standing as an independent write-in candidate for judge of elections here in my local. We have an election on the 2nd of November, just the day after you, our municipal elections. So I'll be standing as independent. So I'm just trying to pick your brain and get some ideas from my campaign.
Another thing, crucial thing is what I found is, because I've only started about 2-3 months or 4 months ago to be active on TikTok, and I just started, talking to people and giving them choices. I only said I was part of the UIM, I think 4 days ago. That I said I'm part of the UIM, but I spoke to people and said, you know what, you have to look, the first thing you have to look for is your candidate. Is he part of your community? Is he active in your community? Does he know, and do they know you? So, and you're going to vote for the best person that's going to represent your community. Doesn't matter about the party. The party is just his driver's license to be able to be a candidate. Then for the metro, then you can vote for your party or who you believe should be in charge of the metro. And a lot of people say, no, doesn't matter who's ward councillor, I'm going to vote for the DA or I'm going to vote for the ANC. No, that's not what it's about, because that guy's not going to do anything for you. He's going to do everything for the party. And where we are different, we are going to say, no, we're not going to do anything for the party. We're going to do something for the community and let the community see what the party is standing for. And that is our strategy after this local elections.
Well, I have to tell you this, Albert. I don't mean to bust your bubble, and it may break your heart, but clearly you'll never be a member of the African National Congress. I mean, if you can't put party, above nation, then you really can't belong to the African National Congress. Understand that of course the president of South Africa's first title is the president of the ANC, and then the president of South Africa.
That's
and
correct.
that of course, if you're in the ANC, loyalty in order to be a deployed cadre is to Luthuli House, not to the constituents who you're supposed to represent. So I'm really sorry you don't have a future in the ANC. I know that comes as a shock to you, but I just want to make sure that's clear so you don't have any false hopes about the ANC.
Yeah. No, and another thing, what I found was, even though I'm on TikTok and my photos my videos are actually being shared on Facebook. So you know what, something is happening. People's eyes are opening up and they're starting to question. You have to question your leaders, because if you don't question your leaders, how are you going to know who they are and where they're from? I mean, on my groups, that's what I ask the people. You know what, you tell me, you ask me questions of who I am, where I come from, and then we can take it from there. Tell me what is wrong with your community, meaning where you stay. Around your house, there's a park. What's happening in the park? How's the potholes? How's the grass being cut in front of you? How's your trees look like in front of your yard? The whole beautification of a place will make it so much to live. I mean, a clean house is a house to come home to.
Well, listen, I have to say this, and I don't know if that's apologies or maybe it was a lucky faux pas there, but apparently in the middle of the night when I typed this banner up for the stream, I listed you as the war counselor. So apparently you're a minister of defense now. So my apologies for that. And if we bait and switched anybody coming into the meeting thinking you're meeting a war counselor, ward counselor, my apologies for that. So
that's actually it's a good thing. Now I'm ready to fight. I'm ready for this battle. I'm ready for this war. And under the banner of the UIM, we will win this war. Well, you can mark my words on that.
There you go. Though there's some more comments coming in here. So Barbara Schillinglaw, I think she said she lived in Florida. Is that where she says she lived? Big sinkhole caused a bad accident last week, but it opened for a month, getting bigger, covers one side of the street, and it's not even marked. That's crazy. At night, especially with ESCOM not putting lights on, you drive right into a sinkhole because you don't see it. That's just crazy. But she also said...
that's also the DA, and they say they get things done. Well, it's there for a month, 2 months. Well, not...
Well, maybe it's an expedient way to do platinum mining. They're just, the quick way to get to the platinum. But Barbara also said, great for Ward 84. So, and then Fleshin said that he used to work for Robert Maxwell. Robert Maxwell, very famous media mogul. He founded the European, which was the best open source, unclassified coverage of the conflict in Yugoslavia back in the 1990s. Mysteriously died on a boating accident, supposedly, in the Caribbean. A lot of people think that he was murdered by Mossad and others, conspiracy theories. But Robert Maxwell, interesting to know that Fleshin worked for Robert Maxwell. Very interesting, very famous Jewish mogul. But anyway, sorry, it's an aside, but I saw it and I just thought I should mention that. It has nothing to do with this conversation, but it was just an interesting comment there. But so going forward, let's say you have good fortune and it works out well and you become a member of the city council of a massive city with a lot of ward councilors. What will be your first objective? What are you going to try to go after first? The first thing you're going to address? Are you going to go beat up on the bureaucrats? Why aren't you fixing this? Or are you going to go in the council and go, hey, look, we got to do this? Or are you going to focus on building a winning coalition to govern the city? What's the focus you think you should go after the day you get in?
Well, the day I get in, I think the first thing to do is actually to get to know your whole community. Every community, every ward has got a heartbeat, and you have to go and say, okay, listen, where's your passion? Where's your heart? And let's start working from the inside out. I always say, your heart will display who you are. That is your image. And then take it from there, because, It's a very hard question actually to answer, but my whole focus will be just safety and security for my area. That will be the first thing, because if we can get that sorted out, everything else will actually fall in place. And we have to try and get rid of this division, because it's black and white, and it's Afrikaans against English, and it's against Italian and Jew, and it just goes on and on and on. Everybody's looking for excuses, and that no. If you're my ward, you're a ward 84ian, if you can say it that way. And we're all going to stand together and do this thing together. I think if the UIM gets into, let's say we get the whole metro city of Joburg, it will be a plus point, and I think we will stick to our 5 C's, what Neil has spoken about, and that is plain and simple. That's the problem we've got today. It's the corruption. Same as in my ward, we've got corruption, crime, and we have to defend the Constitution. We have to put God back in our church, and that's the thing. A lot of people that say, oh, but no, it's only a Christian thing. No, it's not. It's a religion thing. I mean, you worship your God, and then why can't you do it freely in the schools? And if you worship Jesus, if you worship Allah, or whoever, I mean, it's your religion, it's your right, it's your freedom to do whatever you want to do. So we've got our strategy, what we want to do when we take over, and that's what we're going to focus on. And when that is sorted out, everything else will fall into place.
Well, it's interesting you talk about all these different things. One of the things you mentioned a moment ago is, you didn't say that, these are my words, not your words, but really this is obsession with race in South Africa. Looking at today's headlines and things I'm going to talk about later on today, I will never apologize to racists. Panyazi Lesufi agrees to mediation process with AfriForum. Now, after he uses hate speech against AfriForum, a civil rights organization, accusing them of being right-wing, racist, and threatening and assassinate him, all fraudulent claims. Now he agrees to mediation, in which he says he and AfriForum are going to work amicably, or you go forward. But he's still basically, offhanded calling AfriForum a racist organization. Exactly. And then, of course, we see this nonsense over Gareth Cliff, in a conversation in which a woman talks over him on his program, and he tells her that we're talking about Phoenix, not about your personal situation. I'm not interested in that. And that's turned into some sort of thing like he's, so Nando's drops him. Ridiculous nonsense there. The list just goes on. And then I reported last night, I did a prepared video on the Minister of Justice finally appointing a permanent basis, a special magistrate who was supposed to be appointed a decade ago, but was discriminated against unlawfully by former Justice Minister Jeff Radebe. And so for 10 years, he's been in a temporary appointment, could have been sacked at any time if they found someone that had the right skin pigmentation to replace him. So he was the only candidate that was acceptable to the Magistrates Commission. Anyway, my point here is that this obsession with race is not going away in South Africa. And in my view, is being perpetuated by the African National Congress because it suits their narrative and their need. But I think there's something in play here, Albert. And you can tell me, you're on the ground. I haven't been in South Africa now in 2 years. But I get the sense that a lot of South Africans, black, white, and brown, they've had it. Enough. They can see through this. They can see through this nonsense. And they realize that this is just race hustling, and that it's not about that. There are more systemic problems here than this excuse of racism for the failures of the ANC.
That's true. A guy came up to me. We went to a little bit of a small rally in Tembisa. Now that's there in Ekurhuleni, right there close to the airport. Okay, well, not close to the airport, but in Ekurhuleni. And the guy came to me and says, "What are you doing here? White people are scared to come here." I said to him, "Dude, why must we be scared?" He said, "Yeah, why do you have to be scared? There's no white people in Tembisa. People don't go there. You don't mix with them." And I'm very fortunate I'm married to a half Chinese and a half colored woman. Okay, and I married her in 1997, and I met her in 93, 94. So that was still apartheid. And I was victimized because of it by the white people. I was hated because I was stealing the colored people's sissy. So I was always the rebel in this whole situation. I mean, my children are Rainbow Nation, but because of their surname, Oberholzer, they are classified as white because of the father. So I'm always in the problem. So I'm actually fighting for injustice. And the whole thing about the race issue, I mean, the best thing is to divide the people is by calling them by their race. I mean, they started with religion in the early days. Then they started, now it's the vaccine. Now you get the vaccinated and the unvaccinated. you know what? It doesn't matter. We're all people. We're all human beings, and we all got a right to live on this planet. We are created for a time as this. We are created to be here. Everything on this planet is for us. It's not just for me. So why must I exploit it? You know what? It's really, it's pathetic. You know, this division has to stop. It has to stop. And I mean, for us to go, I went to a bachelor's party in Soweto. Now, all the people that I was was with my colored friends. And we were standing on a pavement, having a braai, eating pop and chuck with a lovely peri-peri sauce. And after that, we went to a jol in the area. And I'll never forget this. I was standing by the urinal, and I was doing my thing. And a black guy came in and looked at me, and he said, "Bra, are you lost?" I said, "No, I'm here for a party." So he says, "Are you sure? Is someone telling you to say that you're at a party, or are you kidnapped or what?" So I said, "No, dude, I'm here to party. I love the party. I love the vibe." And I felt so that was probably the best bachelor that I ever had in my life, and then one of the best parties that I had, because I could mix with the people, you know, and every culture in South Africa, and that's what the people should embrace. The South African, the Bula, like us, we bring something to the table. The colored people bring something to the table. The Indian people brings money. And then, you know, you got all your people bringing something to the table. And it's there for us all to enjoy and to embrace and to get a new culture. Let's call it the South African culture, so that we can always partake in this beautiful country and all its food and all its delicacies and all their fashions, their fashion statements. You know, we are so diverse, but we are all South African. So we can make this completely South African. It's not just the Indian or something, you know, and we can be an example. And I always believe that South Africa is one of the wealthiest countries in the world, not just monetary, but culture-wise, because we've got a different culture, and the people must just embrace the culture. Now, currently, everybody's embracing their own little sect here and there. You know, we're not going to do this, we're not going to do this, and it's scary. And that will be one of my first things that I want to get, because I already said to myself, we'll have a culture event every week in all the parks around my area, and we'll get people. We'll get the Africans here. We've got the coloreds here. We're all going to get them all together and the white people. We all get them together. We have a fat braai, and we just eat and just be merry and just get to know each other and form a bond. Because now, when you leave your house, you just look at your neighbor and go, "How's it? How's it?" You know, because that's what the division is causing. But now, luckily in our community, we have a chat before we go to work, after work, during work, on the WhatsApp groups, and we just fellowship. We just get to know each other.
Well, you know, it's you're very correct about that. There's definitely a South African culture, and people should embrace that from South Africa. But there are distinct subcultures, many of them. As you point out, so many different ethnic groups. It's a kaleidoscope of fascinating people. On my program, I habitually promote Basotho, Tswana, and Afrikaans, the languages and the culture, because I find them all fascinating. Plus, I have a lot of experience with two of those three groups. And the Basotho I was always impressed by their ability to hold out. You know, they lost a lot of land in the Free State, but they managed to keep an independent kingdom nonetheless. Always impressed by Mshweshwe and what happened with the Basotho people. But, I'm curious about this, Albert. I mean, was it difficult for you? Now, see, I've just gone through my critical race theory class, and so now I'm properly indoctrinated. So I'm curious, was it difficult for you to square your systemically racist mind to be able to engage and meet with a half Asian, half colored woman and marry her and have offspring that probably don't have the blue eyes and the blonde hair of the Aryan race? I mean, was it hard for you? I mean, this is what I've been taught by critical race theory, that we are systemically racist merely based on the pigmentation of our skin. Do you find that ludicrous, or is that ludicrous, or what?
I do. You know what? My children are beautiful. My son has got blue eyes. The other one's got brown. The other two's got brown eyes. My grandson has got green eyes, like a hazel green eyes. So you know what? It's my family. I think the UIM that's what the UIM actually said. You know what? We are not different people. We are family. And that should be what unites us. And I'm going to be honest, and if my family is listening, I don't care. I felt like a black sheep, because from that era, it was a complete no. You do not cross the racial line at all. Okay. And the worst part is my father-in-law, which was Chinese, they were brought up the same way. You don't mix your races, although he had a colored wife. So, and they still got that thing stuck in the past. But now here I come and I marry my wife. So now I'm joining two families to be one. And all her friends and my friends, now we get together. And some of my family members, they may not have said it, but I could sense it, that they were not happy with our union. And I've been married to my wife now for 27 years, 23, 24 years. Yeah, 24 years. We're getting our 25th, I think, this year.
Is there an ice cream truck in the neighborhood, or is that somebody's mobile?
No, it just went past. It just went past our house. We still got that here in the Rudderfoot area.
That's awesome. It sounds like an ice cream truck.
Old VW soft serve.
That took me back. I almost came to tears. An ice cream truck. We never had money to buy it. We had to watch it go by, and I'm like, ooh.
But don't you think it would be cool if we have like a little braai or some gathering of all the cultures coming together, and you see the ice cream truck standing there with the rows of kids getting their ice cream with the chocolate and their nuts and their strawberry.
Yeah, but these days in a lot of South Africa, you'd have to have guards at the end of the street with weapons to protect them. So
true that.
Listen, Hendo, who's a dodgy colored guy who was a refugee from the Western Cape, he fled. His colors were shown pretty quickly as he fled to the UK a good 20 plus years ago. But Hendo is one of my moderators, has said, so you're going to be the Joel candidate. And then he followed it up by saying, he fell in love with an exotic other woman. That's coming from coming from a colored gentleman, so he's free to say that.
He's free to say that. I don't mind. So that was my whole story, and I mean, I've so far lived a great life. I love my wife to bits. Every marriage got his up and down. My son was involved in drugs, so we sorted him out. He still got the influence. So, so the drug thing is very close at heart. And I don't want to see a new couple moving into the area that's not secure about their family's future, because if we have to get these undesirables out of the area and actually ask the police to make a plan to get rid of them, then we will have a safer future in the end. So that's why I say drugs is my biggest thing. I mean, we've got Nigerians and Mozambicans here in our area that's busy selling from the house. And we've already spoken to the police, and we kept logs of when they come to deliver, but nothing has happened up to now. So that's one of the things that I will have to address. I mean, it's pathetic, and I'm not going to say that. But I want to get the security companies in our area also involved to actually, the people, the community is paying us, your company to look after us now. Look after us. Don't come 17 minutes after the fact and to see, okay, is the guy still here that broke into your house 5 hours ago? That's unacceptable. We have to lift up our standards as a community, and as the parties and as the ward councillors. We have to. We can't be silent partners in this whole thing. We have to be out there. We have to do what needs to be done to make this a safe environment, and then in the end, a safe South Africa for everybody.
Well, I've been corrected by Arctic, who's Tion. He's a pilot. He said First he said, I remember, that's what I remember growing up in Rudaport. It's the ice cream truck. And then he said, no guards needed in Rudaport. We bring our own.
That's why I said it's the West. Afrikaans got to say, the beste in die Weste. It's the best in the West. So it's not going to be easy for something to happen. Yeah, I mean, with all looting, everybody was like panicking. And like us here in Rudaport was like, that's a Sunday. So
that's a Sunday.
But yeah, I love the community. What the whole atmosphere, and there is a vibe here. There's a vibrant vibe, and I'd like to see that more often. And I want to see if we can maybe, increase it and multiply that vibe to infect all the other wards around us, and so that we can be a good community. We can be we're going to be a beautiful country. I predict it. Luckily, this thing is recorded.
Now, I'll have to be entirely honest with you, Albert, and that's that I've driven by Rudaport thousands of times on the Western Bypass. I've only passed through it a couple of times on my way through Krugersdorp, head up to Mahalisburg. because I love the Mahalisburg. It's a beautiful place to go to for lots of activities. But so I've seen Roodepoort, but I haven't really spent any real time there. But it sounds like it's an interesting place. Now here's a real serious question from JP Dreckmeyer that this is a question I'm going to force you to answer. You can't beg off on this one. He said, you bought ice cream for one of those trucks last week in Roodepoort. Will the UIM address the fact that their cone sizes have decreased over the years?
Just going to make a note here on my laptop. But that'll be sorted out.
That'll be sorted out. Oh my goodness, that's crazy stuff. But no, it sounds like people have a lot of affection for the area, and there's at least a few people here have been in the chat that are from your ward, and a couple that kind of gave the indication maybe you might get a vote from them. So that's kind of good. Listen, next week. On the weekend, well, not next week, this coming weekend, I'm going to be planning on doing all day, except for doing some rugby coverage because I'll cover the Springboks test match on my other channel. But other than that, I'm going to be pretty much all day long my time. So it'll be afternoon and evening in South Africa doing election coverage, analysis, ward by ward, not all of the wards, but select wards, also parties and candidates. And if you're interested, I'd like to offer to let you come back on. It doesn't have to be an hour. It can be a 10-minute thing. Say, hey, how's it going? You could be on the road. Pull your phone up, put Zoom on. Hey, we're out here campaigning. And if you want to do that, give you a chance to come out and spread the word. Yeah. So,
yes, no problem.
By the way, you're the first candidate that I've made the offer to. I've mentioned I'm going to do it, but now you're the first candidate I've actually done it to.
Oh, I feel honored. Thanks a lot, Chris. I just want to say to the guys that's actually now watching this, if you go to my Facebook page, you'll see I'm the first because it's Albert Oberholzer. My picture's on the left top. My cell phone number is there. Contact me. I'm always available. I'll keep my phone charged. So if you want to ask any questions, just drop me a line. I'm available. I'm here for you. I'm not here for anything else. I'm here to help and to assist and get your input about what we can do together. Because I'm here to serve you. You're not here to serve me. You're not here to pay my salary. I'm here to pay my own salary if I get a salary.
Well, listen, Albert, it's clear that you're not a politician and you're just an average guy just trying to do something better for the community. Because I'm going to give you a little advice here. Having worked at the high echelons of government and having been a person who everybody wants to call 24 hours a day, and I appreciate Sir Ramaphosa telling ANC ward councillors they must give out their phone numbers, but you're going to quickly find that your phone is saturated by phone calls and you can't possibly keep up with all of them. So
you must WhatsApp me. Then I've got time. Because then I'm busy on the phone and then someone else phone. I see the ward council is never available. Drop me a WhatsApp and we can chat like that and we can take it from there.
Well, I see that Hendo just put your link into your Facebook. Thank you for that, Hendo.
Thank you. No?
And Albert, if you could send me that and any other social media links, because in our coordination for this, I didn't really get that. So send me your links. I'll put them below the description for this video so that people watch it later on and go, oh, I can go click on it and find out about you. Cool beans. Well, contrary to your thoughts there, I don't think your posters are going to scare anybody away. So just to let you know that.
I hope not.
So let me ask this question. Your family, what are their thoughts about you running for office? Are they excited? Are they behind it? Or are they like, oh, no, you're not going into politics?
I don't know. I really didn't. No, I made a decision with my wife and I said, babe, I'm going to stand for ward council and she's very supportive. My daughter's also kind of excited. She's also an introvert. My eldest son that's still finding his feet, he's okay with it, but I haven't showed any interest yet. I think that they just want me to go through the motion and see what I do. So I'll actually maybe have to have a talk with them, chat to them, see how they feel about it, because now they're going to be in the public now as well. Because the thing is, I stay in my community, so they'll know where to find me if I do something wrong or if I'm not here. So this is a big responsibility, and I've got big shoulders, so I can do this.
Well, Arctic told me that, of course, we've talked about Arctic being from Roodepoort. He said that it's Army territory, Chris. Just leave your Air Force friends at home. What Air Force friends? I'm an Army veteran. I'm not an Air Force veteran. Yikes.
Close contact.
Yeah, there you go. That's right. Shots fired. That's right. Move left, move right. Anyway, so it's an interesting campaign. This will be potentially. I've seen one analyst now talk about this in the media yesterday or today, and I've been talking about it for some time, as have many of my viewers. This may be the year of the small party in South Africa. It may be the year that some of these smaller parties make a movement and have an impact, especially as a kingmaker in a coalition. And Joburg, I think, is the one place. So, Albert, you winning or not winning that seat could be critical to the UIM and to a governing coalition in Joburg, because with Herman Mashaba's Action SA splitting the DA vote and the ANC vote too, I think potentially, we've got three parties that are probably going to pull over 20%, maybe 20 to 30%, and that's going to leave some space in there for other parties, and that means that your party could, in fact, be a kingmaker in Joburg, and you might find yourself being a person that not only were your constituents calling your phone all the time, but other parties be tugging on your sleeve trying to get your attention so that you work with them.
I agree with you 100%. I just want to see if I can get this up quickly for you. It's quite Joburg. Oh crap! Where's my internet? Here we go. A very interesting thing. The DA that won last year in my ward, they didn't actually get a lot of votes. So I was watching to see, because I did my research on all the people that's against me. The woman that I've got a big respect for is actually Esme, and she's from the Herman Mashaba's group, Action SA. She's a very nice woman, and I really would love to even if they won't, I'll give her my support and assist her. And I think that's also what people don't realize as well. You only hear from most of the people 2 months before elections, 2 weeks after elections, nothing. Wait another couple of years and then you hear from them again. And that is wrong. And now the thing is now, okay, the UI have won Ward 84. I don't want nothing to do with the DA. I don't want nothing to do with the Action SA. And that's not the way it was that is supposed to be. We have to communicate and work together, because just maybe you can convince them to join your party, or maybe your community can be uplifted. So it's a catch-22.
Well, it's interesting you say that, because you've touched on something you mentioned earlier, and something I always focus on, and this is the bottom line. Once you're elected, it's not the party. It's the people. It's the constituents. Exactly. And that was your second comment there. Basically, what you're saying is that it's service before self, and you're there to respond to the needs of the people. People forget that there weren't governments when we were hunter-gatherers walking around in the savannah, dodging cheetahs and lions and megafauna. There weren't governments, just bands of people. And then agriculture came, and we had organized agriculture. Suddenly we could grow a surplus of food. And that created all kinds of problems, not just rodents who hung around to eat our grain, but also too many people. And we had to have laws and agreements. So we formed governments to represent us, to meet our needs. But they're supposed to work for us, for you, not us working 100%. For them. Yeah, and that sounds exactly what your party is all focused on, and you yourself. And even if things do or don't go well in 2021, the UIM is apparently focused on 2024 is ultimately where they're really driving towards. And so whatever happens in this election, I imagine that come November 2nd, if you're a ward councillor, or if you're just still a member of the UIM, I suspect you're going to be also looking with one eye towards 2024.
Yeah, no, it's not a question. I'm always UIM. Even if we lose, I've got no problem, because I believe in the system, and I believe, the system's not so bad. I believe what they believe in. Because my heartbeat the same as Mr. De Beer, my president. I call him Pausa. You've got POTUS. I've got Pausa. That's what I've adopted him. And I don't think I'll ever change. There's nobody else. Well, there is one party, which I will not mention, that I really believe that that's got the same heart as the UIM, but only one, none of the other ones. And I've actually spoken to to the lead, to a person that's affiliated to them, and I said, I would love to actually include you to come, and when I win, then I can include you in our whole strategy to make this a better place. And I know that I think they will do that. So our voting was only 63.2% voted for the last election. The DA won with 74%. The ANC had 16%. The EFF had 5%. So the UIM's got a good chance.
Well, and see, that's actually a misleading figure. The Independent Electoral Commission and the government itself like to mislead people. It wasn't 63% of people who voted. That was 63% of the people who were registered to vote who showed up. Registered to vote. Yeah. It's actually about 30 to 35% of the eligible voters, and so that's the bottom line. So this is the point I've been making since last year. It takes in municipalities sometimes very little to win a ward seat. Because if there's apathy, if there's anger, and that's what happened to the ANC in 2016, they got a PK. They just smacked upside the head because ANC voters just stayed home. They were apathetic. Yeah. And as a consequence, other parties did better, not because they were a better choice necessarily, but because people just didn't vote for the ANC. And it shifted that ANC big majority all the way down here. So all it takes is a little push from a party like your own to just get a little bit up to get above that. And hey, who knows? You could be snatching some of those ward council seats.
As I said, I did my research on some of my ward councillors that's opposing me. Like the DA guy, I've got utmost respect for him, but he's only moved into the area about a year ago. He's a young guy. I've got nothing against young people. I really believe that we can assist him to actually gain a little bit more experience, and I would love to include him as well with what we believe in and what we do. So for me, it's not about it's a DA guy or EFF guy or whatever the case may be. One of my friends, I consider him a friend. He's a ward councillor for the Ward 70. It's right next to me in Florida. Caleb Finn. He's a DA guy. The most wonderful person because his heart is for the community, and I aspire to actually do the same things that what he's been doing for his community. But unfortunately, for the party that he represents and the party that's running the metro, certain things cannot be done because of corruption and those things. But we will sort that out.
Once again, I got to say that, for my international audience, we're talking about South Africa, not America. I know you're hearing Montana and Florida and Phoenix, and you think they're talking about America. They're talking about South Africa. We're talking about South Africa, so I just thought I'd mention that very quickly.
I will say it in Afrikaans accent. That's Florida.
There you go. Florida. Montana. Yeah. So Valerie Cooper says she's glad this stream happened now. And another one will occur when load shedding kicks in. Ouch. I think that's a dig at the Democratic Alliance because I have the Ekurhuleni mayoral candidate on about an hour, less than an hour. So I think she's glad that we scheduled this before her load shedding kicked in. So there's a vote for you.
We just stopped load shedding now at 2:30. Half an hour, 2 o'clock, just 2:30. Just before I came on.
Paulie says the guy Albert just mentioned, Caleb, his dad was a senior chaplain in the fire department with Paulie.
That's great. Yeah.
Wow, look at that. Small town. Small town. It reminds me of when I lived in Botswana. 2 million people in Botswana, and people are like, yeah, it's a big country. I mean, physically, yeah, it's the size of Texas, but it's really a small town. I mean, you go all the way 9 hours north to the Okavango Delta, and you sit down at a cafe next to the airport, get something to drink, and there's a minister, or there's someone everybody knows everybody. Everybody knows everybody's business. It's got small town problems. Anyway, well, let me ask you this question, Albert, because you came on the program. We got in touch. I think someone suggested you come on. And I got the impression that you've been watching my program. If that's the case, how did you come across my program, and any thoughts or comments that I can make it better?
No, I can't even remember when it was. I'm a new member. I think I joined probably about 2, 3, 4 months ago.
Okay.
And it was I can't even remember what it was, but I had a very good chat on the groups or on the chats. And I just like your, you've got open mind. You call that as it is, which is always a good thing, and it's very interactive. I really love it. I mean, I've watched your stuff for a while now, on and off. Sometimes I don't comment. I just watch, and after the when you post it on YouTube, it's very interesting because on Telegram I'm on some US QAnon groups and I follow what's happening in America, and especially now in Australia, and the people in Italy and France that's rising up against this whole cabal that's starting to happen and what they're trying to achieve. Vaccinated and unvaccinated. It intrigues me. And deep down, I am a conspiracy theorist, but I based it on biblical principles. So I look at biblical prophecies and see, okay, could this be this? Could this be this? And that's where I am. And so when you bring forth your program, I mean, when you spoke to Kurt and when you spoke to all these DA people, that's always there. So it's very informative for myself as a ward candidate, to see what I can see their faults and I can maybe try to improve it from my side. and see where I can maybe become a better person. So what you're doing is I love it to bits. And even if you do the rugby thing, it's cool. I like it. So, but I really like your program, and I like the setup that you've got. And maybe you won't get banned. You shouldn't get banned, but you never know. So you can maybe get a backup, maybe a website or something that you can do this, and maybe a little bit more controversial stuff. Maybe speak to Donald Trump or something like that.
Well, we'll see. But we're also waiting for a company called Creado. I contacted them early on. It's a company that's been in development for a couple of years now, and I told them my situation with being harassed last year on YouTube before I ever got banned on YouTube, and they wrote back to me. The president company said, "You're exactly the content creator we want," and so they actually reserved a spot for me. So I might be a featured commenter or program a content creator on that platform when it comes out. It's behind because they've delayed it because the election last year and social media harassing Parler and such, so they changed things around. But we'll see how it goes. But yeah, I do have backups, but nobody goes there. The problem is that everybody goes to Instagram or Facebook or YouTube. That's where they go, and you have to go where the people are. You can't just create your own serving and hope that people show up. It doesn't work that way unless you got a lot of money to draw people there. Now, Paulie just said that what do you say? Caleb Finn is a top DA candidate, great guy, sits on the portfolio dealing with emergency services, tops. Well, Paulie, reach out to him and invite him to come on my channel because the DA is running scared. And no, I'm just kidding. I've hardly got any DA candidates coming on my program, but I'm just kidding. They may not be running scared. They're just busy, but invite him on. And we could talk to him about emergency services and things like that too. So cool. Well, listen, Albert, folks, by the way, I should let you know, I'll let the cat out of the bag. This is Albert's first ever interview. How'd he do? Can we get a little response in the chat there? Maybe some clap or thumbs up, hopefully not thumbs down. But how'd he do? First ever interview, and we had an exclusive right here at Chris Wyatt Africa. So for that, I want to say, Albert, bye donkey. It was very kind of you to come on, and I appreciate it. I've enjoyed chatting with this morning, and as I've already extended an invitation to you next weekend, we'll touch base and maybe get you on for a little bit for next weekend.
Dit is 'n groot plesier van my kant af. So it's a big pleasure from my side off. It's a pleasure. I really enjoyed it. It was cool. It was like a family meeting, and you can get Caleb on this thing. Then, but don't worry, he's not my opponent. He's my friend. No, so he's on he's on a different ward than I am. So, but yeah, he's got a heart. He's got a very good heart. I really love the guy. Although he's on the DA, but as I said, we're all South Africans. Well, don't let the parties divide us as well.
Oh, absolutely. And here's the thing, whenever I say plaisir, I always get accused of sounding like I'm a German, but there must be something wrong with my hearing because that's what I just heard you say. It sounds exactly the same to me when you said pleasure in Afrikaans.
Yeah, sometimes it's quite hilarious, especially if people, I saw them in his when they call it Gauteng. And it's Gauteng.
Yeah, no, I've never heard that before. I mean, I've heard people say Gauteng,
Yeah, and like you said it just now, so it's Radebe, not the Radebe, Radebe. Yeah. So you actually pronounce it as, because the Zulu language or the black language, they pronunciate very well.
Yeah.
So they pull out that ba and a la, and it's good. It's like I said, it's interesting, very nice.
Well,
thank you very much.
You're very welcome. Flesher says he wished you were running for his council up there. Well, excellent. Lots of great comments coming in. Thumbs up. People really enjoyed the interview. Thanks a lot, Albert. Best of luck next week, and we'll try to get you on. And I know it'll be a busy weekend. I do have one final comment, and I think that you might want to send your son to engineering's program because clearly he's been mooring everything out there in the hallway. He wants to be a construction engineer or something like that.
I think that's the grandson. So yeah.
The grandson. Okay, well the grandson. Yeah, it makes more sense.
Sorry about that.
No, that's quite all right. It's quite entertaining in the background. It just shows you're human and that you're really just a person out there, not some plastic cupboard or cutout that people stick out in front of you on election day. So best of luck and thanks for coming on.
Thanks a lot. Have a wonderful day further, guys. And it was lovely communicating with you guys. Appreciate it a lot. And good luck. Be good. Go with God all the time.
All right, folks, I'm going to put Albert in the waiting room while I close out the stream, and he can drop off if he wants. But thank you so much, Albert Oberholzer, for coming on the program. It was a pleasure having you. And folks, I hope that you learned a little something about the candidate for Ward 84 in Johannesburg, or Johannesburg, as I prefer to pronounce it, because that's the correct pronunciation. But interesting conversation. Someone who is not involved in politics, but has been inspired to get into it. and the reasons he got inspired are his personal ones, and he shared those with us. So thanks a lot, folks. In less than an hour, about 45 minutes, I'll have the Democratic Alliance candidate for Ekurhuleni, a city of 3.2 million people, a critically important place where the Democratic Alliance actually has an opportunity to snatch a metro from the ANC. The ANC is flailing. Now, the DA does face a challenge from the Economic Freedom Fighters and the Patriotic Alliance in that city. But who knows? See what happens there as we try to see opposition parties wrest control from the flailing African National Congress. Anyway, folks, thanks a lot. Appreciate you tuning into the program, and hopefully you can make it back. Hopefully there's no load shedding for you, and we'll be able to watch. You'll be able to watch the interview coming up here shortly. And don't forget, after that, the day just doesn't end here at Chris Wyatt Africa. After that, Todd Clever, USA rugby legend, the all-time leading cap appearances for USA Rugby. The Eagle has 76 caps, which beats every American ever for the USA Rugby side, plus 24 appearances on the USA Eagles Sevens team, which gave him 100 appearances as an Eagle. Todd Clever has his own foundation promoting rugby and getting kids involved in rugby, and he's a well-known American rugby player and personality. He played for Newcastle, he played for Suntory in Japan, and we're going to talk about his career, about his foundation, what it's like to be an Eagle, also about the state of rugby today, Major League Rugby, and yesterday's contest in which the All Blacks scored 104 points with 16 tries, but the Eagles scored the first ever try and a second try, both earned and well done by the Eagles, by Nate Augsburger and then Ryan Mattis in the second half, as the Eagles go down 104-14 at FedEx Field in Landover, Maryland. Thanks a lot, folks. Appreciate you tuning in for the program. Hopefully we'll see you here in about 40 minutes for the next interview. And to my guests, once again, bye-bye, donkey. Kela boy. Thank you so much for being on the program. All right, folks, that's it, and we'll catch you shortly here on Chris Wyatt Africa. Thanks for tuning in. Be sure to smash the like button. If you're not a subscriber, you're just tuning in for the first time, make sure you hit that too. Become a subscriber. It costs you nothing except that moment to push that button, folks. Really do appreciate it. And that's it. Catch you in a bit.